Hello, everyone. It's hump day again, May 8th. Time is flying, peeps. I'm just waiting for people to get in. I'm a little bit behind, but that's nothing new. Trying to get my blouse straightened out here. There we go. That's better. Just waiting for y'all to get here. There's Carla and Jamie. Welcome. Now I'm going to put my overhead light on. Ready for a session on forgiveness and release and letting go, and some good ways to do that. Hang on, I gotta go disconnect something. Okay, I am back. Whew. Been a very busy few days here for me. Been doing some pretty strong property clearings. Removing a lot of nasty stuff from a lot of places. Gonna work on some ways to release that we haven't worked on before. Hello, Jenny and Marcia. Good to see you both. Yeah. Who else is coming in here? Deb, welcome. Good afternoon. In sunny California, we have cloudy Maryland over here. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And first off, officially, this is Wednesday, May 8th, Hump Day for the Divine Interventions Group. And the subject of the day today is letting go, release, forgiveness. We've talked about forgiveness before and how forgiveness, we have to learn to look at forgiveness in a different light, that there really isn't anything to forgive so much. Nobody does anything wrong to us. Everybody does what we contracted them to do, and vice versa, because none of us is blameless either. We do things that hurt other people, or do wrong things, or they perceive as wrong. It's always contracted. Hey, Naima. So that's where we're talking about forgiveness in its purest sense. it isn't forgiveness really. It's a matter of saying, you know what? I didn't like what you did to me. I don't necessarily need to have it in my life anymore, but I understand that it was part of my spiritual growth opportunity, and therefore I release you from all responsibility for my hurt. All right? Because we're the only ones can allow ourselves to be hurt, truly, and we need to let that go. So that's part of the letting go process. But that's not what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk today about releasing our own stuff, and it's not wounds or fears. I'm talking about the bedrock stuff, the way we operate in the world, the bedrock beliefs that we have about ourselves and who we are in the world that are the hardest for us to let go of. We just don't want to let go of those things at all because they are part of our identity. They are our ego identity, you know? It's our core beliefs. And if we let go of those core beliefs, then we start to have big problems about, well, how do we function in the world? If we don't believe this anymore about ourselves, then who are we and how do we function? What do we do? How do we act? So that's what we're going to talk about today. What are those things, one, and how do we let go of them? You know, how do we release these things that are so intrinsically a part of our 3D operating system? So that's what we're going to do today. And I'm going to share some things with you. I have a story that I got from a friend / client of mine who sent me a message about something that she did that I found was really extraordinary and fit right in with today's theme of letting go. And I'm incorporating that into today's hump day. It's for those of you who are familiar with it, it's Ho'oponopono, which is a Hawaiian-based healing modality, which we'll get into in a little bit. And she used it in a way that I had never heard of anybody using it before, and it was quite profound. So I'm going to share that with you as well. So first off, let's talk about the things that I'm addressing today. Those bedrock issues, those parts of our operating system, the foundation that we walk on every day, that rule our basic way of operating in the world. So one of those that's coming up, and there are a lot of people right now that are really coming up having issues, having a lot of trouble right now, being depressed, feeling lost, not knowing what they're supposed to do, feeling out of touch, abandoned, you know, invisible, you name it. There's a lot of that going on right now. And the reason for that is because we're losing our identity. Hello? If you don't know who you are, why? Why don't you know who you are? Well, because we're being forced to let go of that stuff. Well, hello there, Miss Velma. We're being forced to let go of that stuff. We're being forced to see that all of these things don't hold water for us anymore. You know, the buckets have holes in them. One of the biggest of these that I'm seeing coming up, and it's been for myself and just across the board right now, is the powerlessness / victimhood thing and the need for control. And I put them in two different sections when I made the write-up for this, but they're really two sides of the same coin. We all are trying to be in control because that is our means of at least pretending that we have power, that we have some control over what's going on. That gives us a sense of being powerful when we can control the world around us in some way, control events, schedules, who does what, where, when, and why, who says what somebody's allowed to say or do or wear or anything else, how we do our jobs, how we associate with other people, if we associate with other people, all of those things. We go out of our way to try and exert control over those things. It basically is a false narrative that we feed to ourselves, that we've got control. When in reality, what does it really take for all of that control that we're exerting over our lives to just get blown apart like a bowling ball at the head pin? Just gone. What does it take? Not much. A car accident or an illness or a storm or a fire, getting laid off from your job, any number of things. Boy, that control is like out the window. Wait a minute. I thought I had control of all this. What happened to all this? And that's when we go into a nosedive, when we lose that imagined control over our lives. These are the things, and where does that need to control, that powerlessness, victimhood thing, where does that live? Well, it lives in our ego mind. And it also lives in our core programming. It isn't just all our ego's faults. It is part of the dark grid programming that was funneled into us in all of these different incarnations as we kept getting recycled and recycled and recycled. The victimhood and the powerlessness is part of that programming because, boy, there is nothing that provides more juicy, loose, emotional, negative energy than that. Making people feel powerless, to be perpetual victims and just sheep, and just doing what you're supposed to do and dealing with it and handling everything that's taken at you. It's like saying, okay, yeah, right, fine, I deserve that, and oh, isn't this horrible, there's nothing I can do about it. And the anger that comes with all of that, or the fear or the hatred and the just the angst that comes with those feelings, the emotional energy, boy, is that juicy. When you're talking about negative entities and forces and cabal, all of that, that is some of the juiciest energy out there, boy, is all of that powerlessness. Hey, Lauren. And so that's been programmed to be part of our operating system. We're just supposed to lay over and accept that we're powerless. We're trying to be powerful with our ego programs, but that also is part of the setup. The ego says, we're going to take control and we're going to do this, 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 and this. And then the other forces come along and say, nope, you're not going to happen. So you're constantly in this battle, this back and forth, to and fro between your ego and the spirit and the forces that be. And we need to, first off, the letting go that has to happen is basically at the ego level. We have to be less attached to this need to control. We have to be less attached to the beliefs that we are powerless, or we are victims, that we have no choices in things, that, well, it is what it is, can't do anything about it. We just got to deal with it. Oh, well, they're screwing us in Congress again. I guess we'll just have to roll over and play dead and deal with it. Oh, well, I didn't get that job because I was too old. That's just the way it is. There's nothing I can do about it. All of those things. How many times have you either heard other people say that or said it yourself in some version or another? Okay, it's programmed into us in a lot of ways, in different levels and intensities. I've done it, but I also know that my base mode of operating is saying no. I don't accept no for an answer in these things, but that doesn't keep me from trying to exert control over my life, for sure. And every time that control goes awry, I'm just as shell-shocked and gobsmacked as everybody else. But we have to be able to let go of all of that, to release our acceptance of it. Maybe that's a better, attached to it, yes, but we accept it as just the way it is. But if we were truly fully accepting it, we wouldn't get upset about it. Okay, because there's a part of our soul that says, no. And that part of our soul is saying, no, you don't need to accept this. What's up with that? That causes the clash between what your ego and your mind is programmed and telling you, yep, this is the way it is. And your soul saying, no, it's not the way it is. And it's not the way it has to be. We have control. And as divine individuals moving into a higher vibration, we literally do have that control in a way that you have never imagined that you had before. Now, in the full 3D, denser energies, that control was a lot harder to exert from the soul level, because it was like pushing uphill against cold molasses, because of the density of vibration. But now we don't have that handicap anymore. Plus, we don't have the handicap of the dark grid still imprisoning us in this planet. So now, as we move into the fifth dimension, we're coming up to a boundary, the border. We're coming up against that. And here is 3D, here's 5D. And anything of this density, anything that is born of this density, anything that supports this density is not going to be allowed through. Not going to be allowed. You can open up the borders and some goes through, but boy, you can't make it all the way through. Not going to happen. So we have to let this go. We have to be willing to release it. And it's not just about these things I'm talking about. There are other places in which we are refusing to let go of our mode of operating. Some of us have our own personal belief systems about the way the world works or is supposed to work and the way things work that we have been operating under for years and years and years and years. And we've come to the belief that everybody else ought to believe this way and ought to see this. And we're not ready to give up our attachment to it. Doesn't mean that the world doesn't operate this way. It may in some ways, but the fact that we are attached to this leaves us closed off from any other way of looking at things. And as creator beings, we have to be open to infinite possibilities. We have to be able to be open to, oh, there's another way. Because when we get closed off in our way of thinking about things, it shuts everything else out. What are we missing because we're closing ourselves off in this little echo chamber of our own beliefs? Not good. So if we aren't letting go of these things, as we move further and further into 5D, we're kind of going to cross the boundary into this limbo place. You'll get just so far. But you can't come into full realization of your 5D capabilities and existence until you let these go. Because why is that? All right, you'd say, well, why can't I take this stuff with me and just deal with it later, right? Why can't we do that? All right, why do we have to do this now? The reason is because if we don't let go of this stuff, one, we're infecting our new reality with all this old garbage that is not true. Two, and more important personally to you, is that we are in a snap manifestation mode. What we think and what we intend is happening, baby. It is happening. And the more of this negative stuff that you carry around with you, if you are in victim mode or powerlessness mode, what are you going to have coming at you like a freight train all the time? Experiences, boom, 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 that are going to hit you like a freight train, showing you that you are powerless or that you are a victim. Remember, classic, basic Abraham and Hicks or law of attraction. What you send out comes back to you. Well, we haven't taken that as seriously in years past. We knew the truth of the theory, but now the reality of it is coming literally to hit us in the face, because it is not taking the time it used to as it sludged through the lower energies to manifest. Now, what we are vibrating is coming back almost instantaneously to us. So until you are ready to let go of these things that do not serve you, are of 3D origin and support 3D existence and lower vibrational energies and create loosh, and are fully ego attached, you can't operate in 5D. You just can't, because you'll be too busy fending off all the disasters you're feeding yourself. That's why we need to let go. We can go through all of these spiritual gurus telling you how it's, the high and mighty stuff about letting go and forgiveness. And, yeah, that's true. I'm not going to say it's not true, but more importantly for you is that you're not beating yourself over the head with a 2x4 by sending out stuff that's coming right back to you. Like one of those paddle balls. It just keeps going. You send it out, comes back, send it out, comes back. That's what's going to happen. Now, wouldn't you much rather be in a state where you're detached from all of that and you're allowed to open yourself up to positive energies and positive expectations and intentions, allowing new things to come to you and say, whoa, cool, I like that. And, that's where I want to go. Cool, that's good. And have that come to you. That's where we're headed. That's where many of us are now that have gotten to that point. It's awesome. It's a place of miracles. Miracles and magic, they do exist. And remember, for years we've been saying miracles are just something that we haven't figured out how to create yet. We don't understand how they work yet. Well, this is the time. We do understand it. We're creating them. We are creator beings. We are endowed with the creative capacity, talents, and abilities of our divine creator of all that is. We were made in his image. That's the image, the creator. On a smaller scale, sometimes yes, sometimes no. There are some amazingly huge things that I have found that we are able to do in certain circumstances. So in order for us to fully access these gifts and use them, we have to be able to let go of the rest. So Do we need to go into the temple today? No, we don't. Okay, we're not going to go into the temple today because if we don't need the temple for this. And what I want to do is I want to read you something. This is part of a message that a client of mine sent to me about some issues that she and I have been counseling her and working with her on. And she sends me a message, and I won't read all of it, but she starts with, are you familiar with Ho'oponopono? And she says, I decided to chant it repeatedly. What happened next was one of the most powerful things I have ever felt. The prayer, and for those of you who don't know, you might want to write this down as I say it, for those that you don't know it. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I thank you. I love you. This is the basic chant for Ho'oponopono. Now, where does this come from? It comes from basically Hawaiian spirituality, but the person that really brought it to the forefront was a doctor in a psychiatric hospital in Hawaii who had read about Ho'oponopono and decided that he would try it out on his patients. So what is the premise of Ho'oponopono? The premise is that we create everything that's in our reality. It's all here for us for a reason. And so if somebody is having a rough time in their lives, that is in our experience because we need to see it for some reason. We are creating that in their lives to a certain extent. All right, that's part of the contract. But they're experiencing it because we need to see it for some reason. There's something in us that needs to learn something from it. A soul growth experience for us, a key that needs to be filled. And so what he started doing, if you look at the prayer, it says, I'm sorry. So basically you focus on the person, and it doesn't have to be a person. It can be an event or a situation that's going on. And you say, I'm sorry. And basically the message is, I'm sorry that I made you go through this for me. Please forgive me for that. And it says, I thank you. And I release you is kind of the other unspoken part of it. I thank you and I release you. I love you. And you say that prayer over and over again. I'm sorry, focused on that same person, issue, or event, whatever it is that you're looking at. I'm sorry, please forgive me. I thank you. I love you. Because this is basically, you are saying to them, look, I apologize for this. And you're asking for forgiveness for fostering that situation in their lives. Lauren Marie, yeah, there are no coincidences. And so you just keep on saying this. And you say it over and over. And at some point you will feel the power of this. By the time you get to the third time of it, you are really going to see the power of this start moving in and through you. And you keep on saying it until you feel the energy of it change and release. And then you end. And what this doctor did was he would sit with his patient files. And he literally would he wasn't energetically sensitive at that time, but he literally would spend a half hour on each patient just focusing on them and saying that prayer. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I thank you. I love you. Every night he would do that for a half hour for each one of those patients. And pretty soon he started noticing that his patients were getting better. It wasn't because of the therapy. It wasn't because of any medications or any other changes that had happened. All he could ascribe it to was using this prayer on them every night to help release them from that condition that they had been in his reality. That was the power of it. And there are plenty of more examples of how that works. But let me finish reading now the rest of her message. It says, in the chanting, I experienced such an emotional release. Each phrase would become the focus, and I would have a release, while the other phrases were softly supporting in the background. Then it would clear, and the next phrase became the solo singer. I worked through all 4 phrases, and each felt slightly different. She said she did this for 21 minutes. She said after the emotional release was over, the phrases calmed down emotionally, and I felt this power around my heart. And so what she did next, she has an issue with somebody close to her. And once she got done with this, she started then sending this to the other person, and she sent it into his ear with the intent that he was going to receive this. She was sending it to him into his ear and all. And she sent it to this person's ear. And then, she sent that through. She could almost feel, it was traveling it through his ear, into his mind, then to his heart, to complete the forgiveness and the letting go of the issues that stood between them. So, and it was a really, I won't share the rest of it, but in basic, she also sent it to his soul, and she said it was an amazing experience the way she described that. So that's what I want to do with us today. Is the angels are here with us. They're always here, but let's now go into a place, pick something that you want to release. Is it your powerlessness, your need to control victimhood? And you can send this to yourself. All right, you send this to yourself, because you are basically asking for forgiveness for making yourself experience these things, for allowing yourself to experience things, for the fact that you had to experience these things for some reason as part of your soul journey, and you are now releasing yourself from that experience. That is the mindset you go into this with. So let's just sit back now, and I will just keep repeating the prayer. Focus on where you want it to be. It can be a person. Well, right now we're going to do it for you. It's just for you, because that's what we're doing. But any other time you can focus on a person. You can focus on a situation that's happening. Or a bunch of people, like relationships with a bunch of people, or some event that's going on in your life. You can focus on that and say the prayer for that. But remember, the whole intention is that you're releasing whatever this is you're focusing on from all responsibility to you. All right, you're saying, no, I'm taking charge now. I'm good with this. I don't need this anymore. All right, so let's just sit back, focus on what you're going to focus on, and let's just start repeating. Hold in your mind's eye or in your heart whatever you're focusing on now for yourself. And you don't even have to have a clear focus. You can just ask to release yourself from all this stuff, whatever it is that's coming up, that it's time for you to let go of, and just let dissolve away because it's no longer necessary. So we're going to do this, and we're going to say this prayer. I'm getting 15 times. And see where we are at that point. Okay? So let's start. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I thank you. I love you. Right? Remember, you're directing this to yourself. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I thank you. I love you. You feel the energy of it. There's some emotion. I can feel some emotion building up. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I thank you. And I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I thank you. I love you. And place your hand over your heart now to finish the last couple. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I thank you. I love you. We're going to go and do it the full 26 more times. We're going to make it 21. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I thank you and I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I thank you and I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I thank you and I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I thank you and I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I thank you and I love you. And one last time. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I thank you. I love you. And so it is. Now I have huge energies coming to just working through me right now. Let it all just settle in and work through. Beloved Ariel, please ground our energies through our Earth Star and let all this release flow down into the Earth and open us to divine flow from Divine Source to Gaia. Let it settle in. There's still a lot. I can feel there's a lot going on here still. So first thing I'm going to ask you as you're kind of letting the rest of this process and coming up a little bit out of it, is to notice if there was one particular phrase when you were saying it, which of the phrases tended to have more energy behind it when you said it. For me, it was the please forgive me part of it. And remember, we're focusing on victimhood and powerlessness here, and that need to control. So it's kind of please forgive me from believing that I'm powerless. That's kind of what the message is that we were giving. So notice what your the line of the prayer that held the most energy for you when you're going through that. And if you care to share that, I would love to hear from all of you about what that was. And also to share, if you really haven't got a handle on that, to just share whatever is coming to you through this experience. I have a lot going on here. Is this coming from everybody else? This is mine. Is this entity stuff? No, ego stuff. Yeah, there's some nasty energy here around my third eye, having to do with ego. And so while you're all coming up from that, I'm taking note of where you may be getting ego resistance popping up. I've got some in my ear. I've got the frontal lobe, third eye, in front and back. That is just sort of saying, wait a minute, we're changing the game here. And my program, says that we are powerless. And I'm saying, well, forgive me, because that's not true. So I've got some ego resistance coming up here. But that's okay. I can work through that. I can continue doing the Ho'oponopono prayer until this resistance releases all the way. Or I can use other methods to dig down into, okay, let's get to the core of this resistance and dissolve it. Let's let it go, fully and completely. So I call now upon the angels Tamara to help all of us let go of these things fully and completely. And to release our ego attachment from them and any ego support. Thank you. So anybody have anything to share at this point, or are you all still kind of in a Ho'oponopono daze here? There are, of course, other ways of releasing, letting go. First and foremost, you have to be aware of what is coming up. So if you're not already questioning your fears, you need to be. The same thing with your anger. If you're not questioning that and what its source is, down, not the surface source, the 3D life source, we're talking about the soul, mental, ego source of that anger or fear that's coming up for you, sadness, remorse, depression. What is the true source of that? If you're not questioning that yet, you need to start. Because once you take the time to question it, it's not saying, sometimes we can sort of stop in mid-stride and say, well, wait a minute, where's this coming from, really? Other times we have to just let it flow through us and go back later and say, where the heck did that come from? Why did I act that way? And get to the bottom of it. So once you get to the bottom of it, you can then release it. You can just say, I intend that this is no longer part of my reality. That it no longer exists in my reality. And when you do that, you will find out what a strong creator you actually are at this time. So what else can you do in order to release this? You can ask the angels Tamara to come and help you let go of all of these things. But most of all, you're going to be following Spirit's guidance. Your angels are going to be bringing to you, and you're going to be bringing to yourself more of the stuff that you're vibrating that isn't aligned with 5D, that is aligned with 3D, is going to be bringing more of that stuff. And as that's showing up, you have to start saying, wait a minute, this isn't what I want. Why is this coming to me? Because it's what I'm sending out and what I'm focusing on and concentrating on. It's what I believe, because that's why it's coming to me. Our beliefs are powerful. Our beliefs create our reality. Quantum physics is starting to bear this out. Spirituality and science are blending now and melding, and quantum physics is the playground in which that happens. We are creating our reality. We can create the reality we want, or we can focus on what we don't want and create more of that. Now, like I said, Abraham and Hicks has been saying that for a long time. Right now, that's starting to make more sense to people because they're seeing it happen almost in real time. They're being able to recognize it, to being open to recognizing it. So you need to be looking for that. What's happening? Why is this happening? What in me is causing this to happen? You don't look outside of yourself. Oh, they're doing it. They're doing it. Somebody else is doing this. No, 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 no. That's what we have to move away from. It's all about what am I doing that is fostering this situation, causing this to come back to me. Things that I don't want keep happening over and over and over again. Why is this? Well, because we keep focusing on them and ruminating on them and being angry or fearful or whatever it is over them over and over and over again. So, well, here it comes. Start when these things happen first, you say, okay, why is this happening to me? But before you even get into that investigation, you can break the pattern by expressing gratitude for it. Boy, dear God, this really sucks, but I thank you for showing it to me so I can investigate what the heck I'm doing to make it happen. Thank you. Being grateful isn't going to bring more of that situation to you. It's going to bring to you more things that have that higher vibration that gratitude has. See, gratitude is a love energy, has a high vibration. So express that gratitude, accept and acknowledge this is something that you literally brought to yourself and you needed to see it so that you could investigate and clear it, to get rid of. Right? Express that gratitude. Things come at you. We experience horrendous situations in our lives periodically. And we have to let the initial emotion move through us. It's not like we say, oh my God, my son died, God, thank you. No, we have to move through at least a portion of that grief. Then we can sit down at some point and say, okay, God, I do not know why this happened, what the reason is behind this, where it's going, what it's leading me to. But I thank you for whatever this is bringing to me, that my soul is receiving because of it. Okay? It's not always easy to do, but if we can remember to have that sense of gratitude, to love all that is, not just accept all that is. Okay, that gets back into that little victimhood thing, that rolling over. No, we want to love all that is, because everything that is has value for us in some way. Because again, and I say this over and over, and I'll continue to say it until I'm rolling over in my ash can, somewhere. We have to accept responsibility for us and everything in our lives. And we have to accept the fact that it's there for a reason, and that we have a soul plan, a divine plan, a program, a mission that requires certain things of us, requires us to receive wisdom, to grow in certain ways, to understand certain things. And it's all individualized. I'm not going to experience the same things in my life as you are. Some of us do have similar and cultural across the board experiences that all of us do. But then the rest of it is on a very individualized basis, based on what we're here to do. I have learned things in a way that you haven't learned things, or that somebody else that I know hasn't learned things, or somebody else that you know hasn't learned things. And each one of us is different, and we are guided in a different direction with different talents and abilities. And one of the greatest places that I've ever seen this come together was in a healing circle I was talking to somebody about recently, where we had somebody I knew once a month would hold a healing circle, and there would be about 15 of us come, and there were 3 tables there, and we would take turns. But usually there were anywhere from 2 to 3 of us, sometimes even more, around one table working on one person on that table. And it was amazing to watch as we all worked everybody's different talents. You know, one person could sense something over here. Another person could hear a message over on the other side. Another person could see something going on, you know, and deal with that. Another person had the ability to do, you know, to remove something at a cellular level. Another person had the ability to remove something in the light body level. To just see all the different ways that everybody's talents had been honed for them to do things differently, which was really amazing. And it became, and the healings that we got doing that were awesome, by the way, because it was a group effort and we all joined together to put our talents together to see these different things. And we have to understand that everybody is the same way. You know, life is the same way. All of us are not made in a cookie cutter mold. And if we expect the cookie cutter mold to be, then we're not growing. We're a hive mind. We're not individuals. And we're here in this timeline, in this time frame on this earth, to be individuals, because it is the individuals who will really cause the change that needs to come about to come. But first, the change has to happen here individually. You have to be whole. You have to be released from all of the things that you're holding on to. So it looks like nobody has anything to share today. If you have anything to share, write it down now. We're after 6 o'clock. And if you have anything to input, if you have anything to share, or if you want any assistance with letting go, not necessarily through Ho'oponopono, but anything else you have going on, you know where I am. I can always be reached in Messenger. So if you don't have anything else to say, I think I'm done, you know, flapping my jaw long enough about this. I'm letting go of this hump day. And we will see you next week. I love you all. And I thank you for being here with us. And thank you. I love you. Have a great week. See ya.